In this tutorial in CyberLink PowerDirector, I'd like to show you how you can quickly create a shape behind a title without using the shape designer. So whether you have the shape designer or not, you can always use this technique in CyberLink PowerDirector. We're going to be using a color board. Let's assume that we have this video that you see on the screen, and it's a little promotion for a retreat center. And so we need a title. So we're going to go to our title room. I can click on the T or press the F7 key, and I'll drag down the generic My Default title, and I'll put it a couple tracks down. And now we're going to edit the title first very quickly. I'll double click on the My Title, and we'll simply change the name of it. We'll call this Retreat Center, and we'll reposition the title, and we'll change the size. Make it somewhat smaller. Let's make it bold by clicking on the B. I'll also do a little bit of option to it. I'm going to give it a border. Let's give it not a blue border, but I'm going to click on the color palette. Let's choose a black one. And let's change the shadow. We'll give it a little bit of a shadow here. We'll click the shadow option. And we'll dial it back from 3. I'll just do a 1 here when I type in the number. So it has a very small shadow, but it's nice and distinct. We'll leave it at that for now. Now let's assume we want to put a border around it without using some of the other features in more recent versions of PowerDirector. How do we do that? Well, I'm going to click on OK to save the title for now. And then the next thing we want to do is go back into our media room. And in the media room, I'm going to click on the All Media. And then I'm going to click on the little blue arrow on the left. And that will get me to my options. I have one that says Color Boards. I'm going to click on that. And then we can close that part of the window. Now I need to pick a color for the background. Now unfortunately I can't use a gradient, but I still can use a color, and I can even change it with the color palette. So I'll take this color board and drag it down on a lower numbered or higher track in the default stacking order and stick it behind. Now it will fill the whole screen. But what I want to do is make it smaller, so I'm going to do a couple things to it. I'll double click on it, and the first thing I want to do is turn off Maintain Aspect Ratio on the left side. That will allow me to change the height and the width. Now if I want to see how Retreat Center is doing, temporarily I'll take the opacity value and take the slider and slide it back so I can see the text, so I can see how wide and tall I want this to look on the screen. We can shorten it on either side. We can make it taller or shorter, and that looks pretty good. Now I could actually leave it slightly opaque, but in this case we'll turn the opacity back up to 100%. Now what I want to do is I want to take that same thing and add a border to it. We go down to the border controls, and I'll click the box next to the word border. It defaults here to a white border. Let's do a fancy one. Let's do a 4-color border. So I'll click the down arrow and do 4-color gradient. We'll make the one on the upper left white, the one on the upper right, let's make that gray, and the one on the lower right, let's make that black. That will give me a metallic look to the border. Let's make the border a little thicker. I'll change the size and drag the slider so you can see it a little better. We get a bit of a metallic look on that border, and I'll click on OK. And now when I look at this, I have a nice border, a background, all behind my lettering by simply using a color board in CyberLink PowerDirector. And so you can adjust the border and the background and the text as much as you want to create a nice effect by simply using color boards in conjunction with titles in CyberLink PowerDirector.